Let's go to Rule 9. No? Non-waivable defenses, effects of failure to plead, and default. Okay, so sa non-waivable defenses muna tayo. Itong non-waivable defenses na to mababanggit to ulit sa Rule 15. Okay, so defenses and objections not pleaded either in a motion to dismiss or in the answer are deemed waived. However, when it appears from the pleadings or the evidence on record that the court has no jurisdiction over the subject matter, there is an action pending between the same parties for the same cause of action, or that the action is barred by a prior judgment or by statute of limitations, the court shall dismiss the claim. This means these defenses are non-waivable, so it can be raised at any stage. The court shall, nakalagay naman dito, di ba? The court shall dismiss the claim. Hindi naman sinabing the court shall dismiss the claim upon motion. So, the court can dismiss the case or the court shall dismiss the case motu proprio on its own initiative. And motion to dismiss is allowed as we will know later on sa Rule 15. Okay, so let's go to declaration of default. So there are 6 requisites for a valid declaration of default. Ano yung mga important dito? Well, important lahat siya. Let's tackle each and every one. Each and every requisite. First is there must be failure to answer within the period allowed by the rules. Asan po yung period na yan? Nasa Rule 11. By the way, ang Rule 11, let's not start, wag na nating itakil pa siya ng matagal dito sa discussion natin. I'd just like you to, I would just like you to just read the periods kasi periods lang naman yan. And itatanong po yung period na ganyan normally in relation to Rule 9. So, kailangan nag-focus tayo sa Rule 9 instead of Rule 11. So, sa period to file an answer, ilang days po? 30 days. Okay? 30 days. Pwede rin siyang ma-extend. We will know later yung requisites for a valid motion to extend the time to file or the period to file an answer. Okay. Anyways, that's the first requisite, no? Failure to answer within the period allowed by the rules. Next, jurisdiction over the person of the defendant was acquired or due process was not violated. Next, there must be a motion to declare in default. Next, there must be a notice to the defendant of this motion. The plaintiff must present a proof of failure to answer by the defendant. And lastly, hearing is discretionary. Dati, nung before the 2019 amendments, hearing is mandatory. Ngayon kasi, hearing is discretionary na. Okay, so isa-isahin natin siya, no? Motion to declare in default. By filing this motion, it presupposes a written motion. Okay? Hindi po oral motion. Oral motion to declare in default is not allowed. Written motion dapat. The act of presenting the pleading or other paper to the clerk of court. Yan ang kailangan. So, okay na tayo sa motion. No? Next, notice to the defendant. Notice of the motion is indispensable. Why? For due process purposes. No? So that the defendant who was not able to file an answer will have the right to or will have an opportunity to be heard. Bakit po hindi siya nakapag-file on time? Probably hindi na-serve ng tama yung summons. Probably hindi niya alam na may kaso pala laban sa kanya. And so on. Next, jurisdiction over the person of the defendant was acquired or due process was not violated. Ibig kong sabihin nito, the defendant must fail to file his answer after there was proper service of summons or there was voluntary appearance in court. If there was improper service of summons and there was no voluntary appearance in court by the defendant cannot be properly declared in, o di pala properly, cannot be validly declared in default. Okay? Kaya nga po tayo merong motion to set aside order of default based on extrinsic fraud. Ito yan. Kasi probably jurisdiction over the person of the defendant was not acquired due to improper service of summons. Magkadugtong yan. Okay, next tayo, no? Hearing is discretionary. Ayan. Under the rules, for litigious motions, such as a motion to declare the defendant in default, the court may, in the exercise of its discretion, and if deemed necessary for its resolution, call a hearing on the motion. Nakalagay po dyan, may. Kung gusto po ng court, i-hear na lang yung kaso based on the pleadings, no? Based on the pleadings, motions, no? Attachments, annexes filed by the parties, pwede. No? Nasa Rule 15 yan. Hindi na kailangan depositions, pwede na yan hindi na po kailangan ng hearing. Discretionary on the part of the court kung gusto nito o hindi. Okay. Here's an example, no, of an invalid declaration of default. Medyo mahaba yung kaso kasi, medyo mahaba yung facts kasi kinuha ko to sa kaso. So, pag sa kaso, normally mahaba ang facts. Sige, tingnan natin. No? The government of USA filed an extradition petition against Mr. A with the RTC. Mr. A did not file to answer the petition. So, the RTC ordered Mr. A to file his answer. So, medyo lenient yung RTC. No? Mr. A did not file an answer and instead filed motions on the matters of procedural rules to be observed in the extradition proceedings. Thus, the government of USA filed a motion to declare the petitioner in default, okay, for failure to file his answer. The RTC denied the motion filed by the government of USA and ordered Mr. A to once again file an answer. Mr. A still failed to do so. Despite Mr. A's failure to file an answer, the RTC issued another order reiterating its directive for Mr. A to submit his responsive pleading. So yun nga yung answer. And that with or without said pleading, presentation of evidence shall proceed. Mr. A still failed to file the same. Thus, the RTC issued an order stating that with no more incidents left for resolution, the trial court directed the counsel for respondent, in this case, respondent po yung government of USA, no? The trial court directed the counsel for respondent to proceed with the presentation of evidence in support of the extradition petition without the need of a motion to declare petitioner in default. So, in short, nakakapag-present po ng evidence si government of USA ex parte. Okay. Mr. A then filed a motion to set aside the order of default kasi yun nga ang dating sa kanila. This is essentially an order of default. So, mag-file kami ng motion to set this aside. Diba? The motion was denied by the RTC. So, the government of the USA was able to present its evidence ex parte and it was able to file its formal offer of exhibits. So, natapos na yung presentation niya kasi nagkaroon na ng offer eh. Later, Mr. A filed a petition for certiorari assailing the orders of the RTC. After the filing of the petition, the RTC, kasi nga, basic lang muna tayo na special civil action. Pag walang TRO, walang preliminary injunction, the case will proceed despite the filing of a petition for certiorari. Kaya po dito sa kaso, nag-file ng petition for certiorari si Mr. A against the order of the RTC. Pero si RTC nagkaroon pa rin ng decision regarding the petition. Kasi wala pong TRO, walang injunction that prevented the proceeding from taking place. Okay? So after the filing of the petition, the RTC rendered a decision granting the petition for extradition. Also, the CA dismissed the petition for certiorari. So the CA sided with with the order of the RTC. So, Mr. A filed a petition for review on certiorari with the CSC. So, RTC nag-file ng petition for certiorari na deny ng Court of Appeals, nag-file ngayon ng petition for review on certiorari with the Supreme Court under Rule 45, no? Should the petition be granted, yung final sa SC? Yes, the petition should be granted. Case law dictates that there are 3 requirements which must be complied with by the claiming party before the court may declare the defending party in default. To wit, first, the claiming party must file a motion asking the court to declare the defending party in default. So there must be a motion. The defending party must be notified of this motion. Next, the claiming party must prove that the defending party has failed to answer within the period provided by the rule. By filing, it presupposes a written motion. Likewise, a notice of the motion is indispensable. Concomitantly, diba, may big word, concomitantly, since the rules require filing of a motion and notice of such motion, it is thus clear that the trial court cannot motu proprio declare a defendant in default, as the rules leave it up to the claiming party to protect his or its interest. So in short, the court cannot declare the defendant in default. The claiming party or the plaintiff must file a motion. Here, the petition should be granted because the RTC has already motu proprio declared petitioner in default even before the motion was made, which clearly violated the established rules on declaration of default. Such order cannot be countenanced. In this case po, no, if makikita nyo kanina, makikita natin dito, nag-file po dito na yung Government of USA, nag-file siya ng motion to declare in default. Kaya lang dininay siya ng RTC. So we cannot use this as justification that the Government of USA filed a motion to declare in default at hindi po nag-act motu proprio yung RTC. We cannot say that. We cannot contend that. We cannot use that, or the RTC cannot use this as an argument to say na hindi po siya nag-act motu proprio. No, kasi nga dininay niya eh. Then later on, yung RTC nag-issue ng order, which is essentially order of default. Yun lang, order of default yan basically, mahaba lang na ganyan. So dapat, bago po magkaroon ng order yung RTC, like this, dapat nag-intay ulit ang RTC ng another motion from the Government of USA. So second motion to declare in default. No. Yun po ang mali. Okay? So itong una, wala na to, no? Canceled out na to. Kasi nga, dininay ng RTC eh. So dapat dito, bago niya sabihin to, mag-file ulit ng motion yung Government of USA. Eh, hindi ginawa. So dapat, the RTC had no power, had no authority to issue an order of default. Okay? So, petition must be granted. Yes, the petition should be granted. No? So, sa suma total, yung pong order of default was set aside. So, ibabalik po yung kaso na to sa RTC to proceed with the case. No? Pre-trial, trial, and so on. Sige. Effect of order of default. So, ano effect? The defendant will lose standing in court. He cannot take part in trial. However, he is entitled to notice of the proceedings. Meron akong kulang dito. So, the plaintiff, di ba, can present evidence ex parte. Order of default versus judgment of default. Baka po narilito tayo. No? Ang order of default, this is the order made by the court which is issued after the filing of a written motion, notice to the defendant, and proof that the defendant failed to file an answer within the time prescribed by the rules. Once this order was issued by the court will set another hearing date for the ex parte presentation of evidence by the plaintiff. This is an interlocutory order. So, in short po, yung order of default, ito yung ini-issue ng court after i-grant yung motion. Hindi pa po siya yung katapusan ng kaso. Interlocutory order lang siya. Gagawa ang court kung mag-i-issue ng order of default, tapos mag-set ng another hearing date for the presentation of evidence ex parte by the plaintiff. Ano naman po yung judgment of default? Judgment of default is the judgment of the court which is rendered after the plaintiff was able to present his evidence ex parte. This is a final judgment on the merits. So in short, ulit, may order of default, merong hearing ex parte, tapos merong judgment of default. So tatlo pong phases yan. May motion, nagkaroon ng order of default, the first phase, presentation of evidence ex parte, judgment of default. Okay? Next tayo, remedies from an order of default or judgment of default. So meron tayong maraming possible remedies. Okay. At any time before judgment, motion to set aside order of default. Before judgment. No? Ibig sabihin nito, mag-file ka doon sa mismong court na nag-declare in default sa'yo. Next, after judgment, but before it becomes final and executory, ano ang mga remedies natin? Motion for new trial or appeal. Next, after judgment and after the judgment becomes final and executory, meron dalawa. Petition for relief from judgment and petition for annulment of petition for relief from judgment or petition for annulment of judgment. Itatakil natin to later on. No. Sa latter ng mga rules. And if there was grave abuse of discretion, pwede rin ang petition for certiorari under Rule 65. Okay, so with respect to appeal, sabihin natin, ayan, nagkaroon ng judgment of default. Order of default, di ba pwedeng i-appeal yun? Kasi nga interlocutory order. Ang appeal kung final judgment lang. So nagkaroon ng judgment of default. Would it be wise on the part of the defendant to file an appeal? The answer is no. Ito po ang dahilan. The grounds that they be raised in such an appeal are restricted. Tandaan nyo, restricted to any of the following. First, the failure of the plaintiff to prove the material allegations of the complaint. Second, the decision is contrary to law. And third, the amount of judgment is excessive or different in kind from that prayed for. Ito na may nakalagay sa appeals eh. No? In these cases, ito, the appellate tribunal should only consider the pieces of evidence that were presented by the plaintiff during ex parte presentation of evidence. Ito pala to. Yan. So pag nag-appeal, the evidence that will be considered is only the evidence of the plaintiff. The defendant cannot present his own evidence kasi nga he already lost this after there was declaration of default, after there was order of default. So ang suma total niyan, talo din. Kasi lahat ng ebidensya, manggagaling lang sa plaintiff. Di ba? Malamang magagrant pa, ano pa rin, nakapag-establish pa rin ng cause of action yan. No? Petition for certiorari, is it a viable remedy? Pwede, no? Yes, no? It is a viable remedy because if a petition for certiorari was filed by the defendant, so magiging siyang petitioner, ang relief sought po sa petition for certiorari is the annulment of the order that was issued by the court. So, pag po nag-petition for certiorari, maa-annul yung order of default. So, pag na-annul yun, the petitioner would be allowed to file her answer and present evidence in trial court. So, mas okay siya. Pero tandaan nyo, no? Huwag natin masyadong pahirapan. Basta pag anytime before judgment, ito na lang ang remedy. The defendant may file a motion to set aside the order of default. Okay? And by the way, no, itong petition for certiorari, baka ma-dismiss naman to because there was another adequate speedy. There was another plain adequate speedy remedy. Ano yun? Motion to set aside the order of default, motion for new trial, petition for relief from judgment, saka petition for annulment of judgment. Di ba? So, careful din kung magpa-file ng petition for certiorari under Rule 65 kasi madidismiss yan kung meron pang ibang magagandang remedy that will set aside the order of default, such as motion to set aside the order of default. So, dapat tama tayo ng mga avail na remedy. So, ang tip ko lang sa inyo, pag nagtanong ng mga remedies para ba order of default or judgment of default, focus kayo sa 1, 2, 3, 4 na to. Motion to set aside the order of default, motion for new trial, petition for relief from judgment, at saka petition for annulment of judgment. Hayaan nyo na yung appeal, hayaan nyo na yung petition for certiorari under Rule 65. No? Ngayon, kung tatanungin naman kayo sa angulo ng appeal, pwede dito. So nagkaroon ng order of default, nagkaroon ng judgment of default, the defendant appealed. Can the defendant present evidence, di ba? In his appellant's brief, no. Cannot present evidence, no? Yung kanyang mga contentions, mga issues raised in the appellant's brief must be limited to the evidence presented by the plaintiff. Okay? Sige, you get the point. Okay, so sa motion to set aside order of default tayo, no, what are the requisites? The motion must be filed before judgment, under oath, tapos yung mga grounds, no? Extrinsic fraud, accident, mistake, excusable negligence, and he has meritorious defense. Lagi pong tinatanong tayo dito sa extrinsic fraud side. Why? Kasi ito pong extrinsic fraud, mababasa nyo yan sa order of motion to set aside order of default, motion for new trial, petition for relief, at saka annulment of judgment. So, apat na remedies, puro extrinsic fraud yan. What does extrinsic fraud mean? Fraud is intrinsic when the fraudulent acts pertain to the issue involved in the original action. Example, incidental fraud, causal fraud under the Civil Code. No? Incidental fraud is fraud in the performance of the contract. Causal fraud is inducement, di ba? Without which the other party would not have entered into the contract. Fraud is extrinsic or collateral when a litigant commits acts outside of the trial which prevents a party from presenting all of his case. So, in short, such that there is no fair submission of the controversy. In short, extrinsic fraud is fraud that prevents the party from presenting his side. Okay. Extrinsic fraud is fraud that prevents the party from presenting his side. So the defendant was prevented from presenting his side. Prevents a party from presenting his side. Okay. Bakit walang number 2 dito? Okay. Examples. No? Incidental and causal fraud under oblicon. Mr. A entered into a contract of sale with Mr. B. Under the contract, Mr. A was obliged to deliver red wine to Mr. B. However, Mr. A delivered grape juice to Mr. B. In order to bait, hindi yata magandang word yung bait. In order to entice B into accepting the delivery, Mr. A filled the wine bottles with the grape juice. So, yung grape juice, nilagay niya sa wine bottle para hindi halata. No? Thus, Mr. B filed an action to annul the contract of sale on the ground of fraud. Hindi pala annulment. Filed an action for damages. Yan. On the ground of fraud. Is this intrinsic or extrinsic fraud? This is intrinsic fraud because Mr. A defrauded Mr. B during the performance of the contract. So ang cause of action po ni Mr. B is action for damages on the ground of incidental fraud. Okay? Hindi siya action for annulment. Doon ako namali kanina. Hindi siya action for annulment of contract of sale on the ground of fraud kasi hindi naman to causal fraud. Konti na lang background sa obliko, no? Kasi dito po, wala namang inducement na naganap. Nag-enter sila ng contract together. It's just that, nung i-deliver na ni A yung product o yung thing sold to Mr. B, iniba niya yung contents ng wine bottle. Ginawa niyang grape juice lang. Hindi siya wine, hindi siya alcohol. So, this is an incidental fraud. No? Which is an example of intrinsic fraud. This is not the fraud contemplated under Rule 9. Next. Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money against Mr. B. No? The court authorized Mr. A to serve the summons to Mr. B. Later, Mr. A made a return of summons stating that he was able to personally serve the summons to Mr. B. However, the truth was he never served the same to him. As a result, Mr. B failed to file an answer and he was declared in default. After 3 months, Mr. B learned that Mr. A filed this action against him. What is the remedy of Mr. B? He must file a motion to set aside the order of default on the ground of extrinsic fraud. Why? Because the act of Mr. A, diba, in stating that he was able to personally serve the summons to Mr. B, when in truth, he never served the same to him, prevented Mr. B from fully presenting his side. Diba? Yun ang dahilan po, di ba? Ganyan ang usually mga examples ng extrinsic fraud. Nagkaaroon po ng improper, ulitin natin, service of summons. Hindi alam nung defendant na meron na palang kaso laban sa kanya. Extrinsic fraud ang ipa-file natin. Probably kasi si A, pwedeng siyang inauthorize ng court to serve the summons, tapos hindi naman niya sinerve yung summons talaga, pero nilagay niya dun sa return of summons na serve niya. Pwede, like ito. Or, pwede naman, fake yung nilagay na address ni A dun sa allegations. Fake address. So ngayon, pinuntahan si B dun sa address na yun, hindi naman siya makita-kita. Mga ganyan. Diba? Alam naman ni A kung saan talaga nakatira, pero sa iba niya, iba yung nilagay niya na address. Alam naman niya kung saan talaga nakatira si B. Pero iniba niya yung address para magkaroon ng declaration of default. Yan yung mga extrinsic fraud. Diba? Hindi po siya sa loob ng kontrata, hindi siya sa loob ng issue, pero ito ay fraud upang hindi makapunta sa court si Mr. B, yung defendant. Okay? Effect of partial default naman tayo, no? So, wait lang. Partial default. Yan. Effect of partial default. So, what are the requisites for there to be partial default? The plaintiff has a common cause of action against multiple defendants. Common cause of action, maraming defendants. At least one of the defendants was able to file an answer and the others failed to do so. What's the effect? In case of partial default, the court shall try the case against all, tandaan nyo ha, against all, based on the answer that was filed by the defendant. Later, it shall render a judgment based on the evidence presented by the plaintiff and the defendant who was not declared in default. So may dalawang effect. As long as may isang nag-file ng answer, the case shall be tried against all. Shall be tried against all the defendants. So, covered po yung defendant na nag-file ng answer and yung defendant na hindi nag-file ng answer. Okay? All of them. Now, yung judgment naman, no? So, una sa trying side pa lang tayo. Trial side. Lagyan ko nga lang ganun. Sa try. Ayan. Itong isa, judgment. Try against all, at saka the judgment must be based on the evidence presented by the plaintiff and the defendant who was not declared in default. Okay. Before we tackle that, after tackling that, no, let's determine what's the meaning of common cause of action. No? Example. May dalawa tayong example para makita nyo kung ano yung scenario na may common cause of action at saka yung scenario na walang common cause of action. Mr. A lent 1 million pesos to Mr. B and Mr. C as solidary debtors. Later, hindi nakabayad si B at saka si C upon demand. So, nag-file lang action for collection of sum of money si A laban kay B and C. Mr. B filed an answer, but Mr. C failed to do so. Was there partial default? Yes. Tingnan natin yung requisites. May common cause of action ba si Mr. A against Mr. B and Mr. C? Yes. There was common cause of action. the plaintiff only had one cause of action against B and C. Why? Kasi in solidary obligations, di ba? The creditor can compel, di ba? The performance of the contract, the whole, can compel the performance of the whole contract from any one of the solidary debtors. No? In this case, payment. No? Mr. A can compel the payment of the whole obligation from any one of the solidary debtors. Isa lang ang cause of action niya, common cause of action, so there is partial default. Ba? Tapos, di ba, Mr. B filed an answer but Mr. C failed to do so. So, there is partial default. What's the effect? The case shall be tried against Mr. A, Mr. B, and Mr. C based on the answer filed by Mr. B. Okay? And later on, no, judgment shall be rendered by the court based on the evidence presented by Mr. A and Mr. B during the proceedings. Okay? Tangent lang dito. Di ba, hindi nakapag-file si Mr. C ng answer. So, ano magandang gawin? Pwede siyang gawing witness ni Mr. C. To prove their defense. No? So, kung di man siya nakapag-file ng answer, mag-latch on na lang siya dun sa answer ni B. Magiging siyang witness ni B. Okay? Kaya huwag na natin ilagay yun kasi hindi naman nakalagay sa effects yun eh. Tinibigyan ko lang kayo ng mas magandang context. No? Basta focus tayo sa dalawang effects na to. Try at saka judgment. Next. Example. Mr. A lent 1 million pesos to Mr. B and Mr. C as joint debtors. Failure to pay upon demand, so nag-file si Mr. A ng kaso against B and C. Mr. B was able to file an answer, Mr. C failed to do so. Was there partial default? No. Why? Kasi wala pong common cause of action. Iba ang cause of action ni A against B, iba ang cause of action ni A against C. Kasi joint debtors po yan. They have separate portions. They have separate shares on the loan. No? They have separate shares in the loan. No? So, Mr. A has separate causes of action against them. Since there are separate causes of action against them, the answer that was filed by B will not benefit Mr. C. Okay? Since there was no partial default, ano mangyayari kay Mr. C? I-apply po natin yung effect of order of default. Ano yun? Magiging siyang he will lose standing in court. Diba? He cannot take part during the trial. But he shall be entitled to notices. So with respect, and Mr. A will be allowed to present evidence ex parte with respect to the share of Mr. C. Yun. No? So tatlo, ano yung mga effects, no? Tatlo. Doon tayo sa normal na effects ng order of default. Mr. A can present evidence ex parte as to the share of Mr. C. Si Mr. C, wala siyang standing na sa court. Hindi na siya makakapag-take part sa trial. But he is entitled to notice of the proceedings. So in trial, entitled siya to be there, but he cannot take part in it. No? So spectator lang siya. Okay? Ngayon, the effect of partial default will not apply kasi nga walang common cause of action. So yung try against all judgment shall be based on the evidence presented by A and B, hindi po siya papasok. Okay, so hope you get the point. Sige. Extent of relief to be awarded in case of declaration of default. So tandaan nyo to, very important din. Tandaan nyo, the judgment shall be limited to the prayer in the complaint. The award shall not exceed the amount prayed for. It cannot be different from what was prayed for, and the court cannot award unliquidated damages. What does liquidated mean? Liquidated means the amount can be computed, can be determined with reasonable accuracy. So kung actual damages, may resibo ka ng actual damages mo. May hospital bills. No? Nakasulat dyan yung magkano pinangpagamot, no? Para gumaling. Liquidated yung damages na yun. Kasi you can compute, you can determine the damages with reasonable accuracy. What's an example of an unliquidated damages? Moral damages. Kasi we cannot compute the wounded feelings of a person, di ba? Of a plaintiff. Hindi natin alam, di ba? In monetary terms. That's unliquidated damages. Di ba? So, hindi po siya igagrant ng court. Okay? So, igagrant po ng court pag nagkaroon ng declaration of default, so sa judgment of default, hindi pwede mag-exceed sa prayer, hindi pwede maging different sa prayer, hindi pwedeng mag-grant ng o mag-award ng unliquidated damages, no? Where no defaults are allowed. Annulment of marriage, declaration of nullity of marriage, legal separation because of the possibility of collusion. To connect, no, magkakaroon po ng court-mandated intervention in this scenario para hindi na pwedeng ma-default, diba? Hindi pwedeng ma-default. At the same time, the court will mandate, no, the court will mandate the intervention of the prosecutor, no, to determine, to investigate if the husband and the wife, kasi sila yung party sa kaso na to, if they are colluding to obtain a favorable judgment. Diba? So, connect yan. Hindi pwedeng magkaroon ng default, so pag hindi nagsumagot, hindi nag-file ng pleading yung defendant o yung respondent, wait, petition to. So, hindi nag-file yung respondent, hindi nag-file si husband, sabihin natin, hindi mo pwedeng i-declare siya ng in default. The same time, yung prosecutor mandated to intervene. So, ano yan? Mandated siya by the court to intervene to check kung mayroon bang collusion between the parties. Okay, so I hope malinaw po lahat dito. Let's go to Rule 10. No? Amended and supplemental pleadings. Nature of amended pleading. No? An amended pleading supersedes and replaces the original pleading. Okay? So, papalitan na po natin, no? Yung pinapalitan na nung amended pleading, yung previous pleading. What's the nature of a supplemental pleading? What's the nature of supplemental pleadings? It adds to the original pleading. So, in supplemental pleadings, the supplemental pleading does not supersede, does not replace the original pleading. It adds to it. So, pag supplemental pleading, they work hand in hand. Okay? Pag amended pleading, one replaces the other. Okay? Tandaan natin yun, ha? For amended pleadings, no, motion for leave of court may or may not be needed for amendment of pleadings, as the case may be. We will discuss this later. Meanwhile, for supplemental pleadings, no, motion for leave of court is always needed for supplemental pleadings. Okay. So, let's compare, no? Amended and supplemental pleadings. May examples tayo dito. Okay. Okay. Mr. A leased his property to Mr. B. Mr. B failed to pay his rental sa pandeman. Thus, Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money in the amount of 10 million pesos against Mr. B with the RTC Makati. Later, Mr. B served this answer to Mr. A. After the service, Mr. A discovered that he miscomputed the amount that Mr. B owes him. Thus, Mr. A is asking you as to what motion should he file in order to increase the amount of claim to 15 million pesos. So, amended complaint dyan. Because the original complaint, di ba, with its prayer, with the allegations, it will be replaced, superseded by this next pleading. Kasi papalitan mo from 10 million to 15 million. Can we say na supplemental pleading ang ilalagay? Can we say na supplemental pleading ipa-file? No. Kasi supplemental pleading merely sets forth transactions, occurrences, and events which have happened since the date of the pleading to be supplemented. So, dapat may transaction, may occurrence, may event na nangyari after the filing of the original pleading. In this case po, wala. Ang nangyari dito, miscomputation. Mali ang pagkakakompute. 10 milyon ng original prayer, dapat gawing 15. So, ang kailangan mo dyan, replace. You file an amended pleading. Hindi mo rin pwedeng sabihin na typographical error o clerical error kasi wala namang error dun sa nakasulat. Diba? Wala namang typo dun. Ang meron dyan, babaguhin mo yung claim itself. Wala namang typo. Meron miscomputation. Magkaiba ang typo, magkaiba ang clerical, magkaiba ang miscomputation. Diba? Okay, so, amended pleading yan. Next tayo, Mr. A leased his property to B. B failed to pay his rental upon demand. Mr. B remained in the property. Thus, Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money in the amount of 10 million pesos against B. Later, B served this answer to A. After 10 months, the rentals owed by Mr. B to Mr. A ballooned to 15 million. Mr. A is now asking you as to what motion should he file in order to increase the amount of claim to 15 million. Sa una pong example, miscomputation. Sa pangalawa pong example, nag-stay si Mr. B do sa property during the pendency of the action. So ano po ipa-file sa second example? Ipa-file motion to supplement the pleading or motion, hindi pala yan, motion for leave to file a supplemental pleading. Yun. Itong sa una, motion for leave to file an amended pleading. Okay. Mr. A should file a motion for leave to file a supplemental pleading because he is not replacing, superseding, or amending anything from the original pleading. Ano gagawin niya? He just wants to add, no, the amount of claim in the pleading due to the events that happened since the time of the filing of the complaint. So sa una po, miscomputation, you replace. Sa pangalawa kasi, you want to set forth yung transactions, events, occurrences that happened, ano yung nangyari na yun during the pendency of the complaint, during the pendency of the case. Nag-stay, nag-remain si B sa property. So dapat karagdagang renta yan. Okay? So, supplemental pleading po. Sige. Formal amendment tayo. Instances when formal amendment is allowed. No? Defect in the designation of parties, so namali ng pangalan. Clearly clerical or typographical errors. Okay? These defects, errors can be summarily corrected at any stage of the action at the court's own initiative or on motion. Okay? What does summarily corrected mean? It means it can be corrected without hearing. So, without a hearing. No? Substantial amendment. It's the opposite of formal amendment. So, hindi siya error sa designation ng parties, hindi siya error hindi siya clerical or typographical error. Okay? Amendment as a matter of right. Ito pala yun, no? Kaya kung nabanggit dito, ang motion for leave of court, may mga instances na kailangan sa amended, may mga instances na hindi kailangan sa amended. Okay? So, dito muna tayo sa hindi kailangan. Amendment as a matter of right. Ano yung mga requisites? The amendment may be formal or substantial. Doesn't matter. The amendment as a matter of right can be availed of once. And this can be availed of before this and amendment is a matter of right before a responsive pleading is served. Okay? So, the amendment may be formal or substantial. It doesn't matter. The amendment as a matter of right can be availed of once. And the amendment as a matter of right, amendment is a matter of right before a responsive pleading is served. Buuin natin to. Yan. Okay. Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money against B. Before the service of answer, can Mr. A change the action to judicial foreclosure of real estate mortgage without motion? Yes. Collection of sum of money, ginawang judicial foreclosure of real estate mortgage. Pwede. Why? Mr. A can amend his pleading once before the service of the answer to him. Okay. Whether formal or substantial. Okay? The amendment can be substantial, such as changing the action from collection of sum of money to judicial foreclosure of real estate mortgage. Next. Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money against B. Later, Mr. A amended the stated address of B. Before the service of the answer, can Mr. A change the action to judicial foreclosure of mortgage without motion? No. Mr. A must file a motion for leave of court to amend the pleading since he can only amend once. In this case po kasi, pangalawa na yan eh. Yung una, binago niya yung address. Bakit important ang address? Kasi dyan po isa-serve ang summons. Pag dito na mali, baka maging void. Magiging void yung judgment later on due to failure to acquire jurisdiction over the person of the defendant. Kasi hindi ka magkakaroon ng proper service of summons kung mali ang address na nakalagay sa complaint. Diba? So, nag-inamed niya. Binago niya yung address doon sa complaint. Tapos ngayon, gusto niya uling baguhin before the service of the answer sa kanya. Babaguhin niya naman yung action from collection of sum of money to foreclosure. Bawal na as a matter of right. No? Hindi na pwedeng walang motion. Dapat meron ng motion ngayon kasi amendment becomes a matter of discretion. Lastly, last example tayo. Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money against B. After the service of the answer, can Mr. A change the action to judicial foreclosure of real estate mortgage without motion? No na. Kasi after a responsive pleading was served na to. Na-serve ni answer eh. Nakita mo, kasi ang wisdom niya, nakita mo na yung theory, nakita mo ni allegations ng defendant. Hindi ka na pwedeng mag-amend ngayon na as a matter of right kasi dadayain mo naman yung defendant eh. Kung gusto mo mag-amend, di ba, padaan natin sa court. And the court will decide whether the pleading can be amended or not. Okay? Next naman tayo, amendment by leave of court or amendment as a matter of discretion. So may dalawang requisites. First is the amendment is substantial. Kasi kung ulitin natin, kung formal yan, wala tayong pakialam kung before or after the responsive pleading is served. Or kahit na 10 times yan. Kasi nga, formal lang. It's just a typographical error. It's just a clerical error. So, it can be done without motion at any stage of the action. So, pag po dito, amendment as a matter of right, ayan yung requisites. Pag amendment as a matter of discretion or amendment by leave of court, this only applies if the amendment is substantial. No? Kasi pag formal yan, amend lang ng amend. Di ba? Amend lang amend, no problem. Hindi na kailangan ng leave of court. No? And one or both of the requisites in Section 2, Rule 10 were not complied with. What ba both? Any. Dapat. Ibig sabihin dito sa any of the requisites were not complied with. Ito yun. Sige. So by leave of court, it means the amendment must be approved by the court upon motion. So when should the leave of court be refused? The motion was made with intent to delay, or the motion was intended to confer jurisdiction on the court, or the pleading stated no cause of action from the beginning. Ito yung very important dito sa amendment by leave of court. Ito. Yan ang pinaka-important dyan. Okay? So ulitin natin, no? When can there be amendment as a matter of right? The amendment can be formal or substantial. It can be availed of once. And it can be availed of before the responsive pleading such as an answer was served to the plaintiff. Okay. So when is amendment a matter of discretion? The amendment must be substantial. So hindi siya formal kasi pag formal, any stage, pwede. Okay? And next requisite is any of the requisites under Section 2, Rule 10 was not, was not complied with. Okay? So, yan. So, substantial amendment na hinihingi, tapos twice na. That's one example. Next, substantial yung amendment na hinihingi, tapos na-serve na yung answer sa plaintiff. As a matter of discretion ka na ulit. Okay? So, when should the leave be refused? It was made with intent to delay, intended to confer jurisdiction to the court, and the pleading stated no cause of action from the beginning. Let's go to the examples. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 ang examples natin dito. First, Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money in the amount of 1 million pesos against Mr. B with the RTC Makati. Before the service of the answer of Mr. B, Mr. A amended the action by increasing the amount of claim from 1M to 10 million. Was there a proper amendment? Yes, because Mr. A had the right to amend the complaint, whether formal or substantial, before the answer was served to him. Tandaan nyo ha, kung makikita nyo, RTC Makati to. Tapos 1 million. Di ba walang jurisdiction over the subject matter ang RTC niyan? Kasi nga 1M eh. Oh. Tapos in-increase niya sa 10 million before the service of the answer. Tanong, pwede ba yun? By the way, now na 10 million yun, pwede na sa RTC, di ba? Pwede bang gawin yun? Yes. Pwedeng gawin yun. Kasi amendment as a matter of right. Sa amendment as a matter of right, hindi naman po nakasulat to eh. Hindi nakasulat yan. Kasi nasa Section 3 lang yan. Okay? So, was there a proper amendment? Yes. Kasi amendment is a matter of right. Next tayo. Filed an action for collection of sum of money. 1M ulit, RTC Makati. Capitalize natin to. Ay, i-bold natin. Yan. After the service of the answer of Mr. B, Mr. A filed a motion to amend the action by increasing the amount of claim from 1M to 10M. Okay. Di pala was there a proper amendment. Should the court approve the motion? Yan. No. Because the motion was intended to confer jurisdiction to the court. Ano pinagkaiba? Yung una kasi hindi naman applicable yung 3. So amendment is a matter of right. Kasi pasok siya dun sa mga requisites na nandito. Sa pangalawang example, after the service of the answer ni. So mag-a-apply na po amendment as a matter of discretion or amendment by leave of court. Ano nakalagay dyan? After the service of the answer of Mr. B. So amendment as a matter of discretion to. With that being said, mag-a-apply na itong 3 na to. 1 million before RTC Makati. Walang discretion ng RTC Makati. Ginawa mong 10 million, nagkaroon ng discretion ng Makati, RTC. Eh di dito papasok yan. The leave should be refused because the motion for leave to amend the complaint was intended to confer jurisdiction on the court with the RTC. Diba? Next tayo. Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money in the amount of 1 million pesos against Mr. B with the RTC Makati. A failed to allege that he sent a demand letter to Mr. B. Hindi niya na-i-allege dun sa complaint na nag-send siya ng demand letter to Mr. B and that demand letter was diba? And Mr. B failed to pay despite the demand. Ayun pala. Before the service of the answer of Mr. B, Mr. A amended the action to allege that a demand letter was sent by him and Mr. B failed to pay upon demand. Was there a proper amendment? Yes. Because Mr. A had the right to amend the complaint, whether formal or substantial, before the answer was served to him. Next. After naman to. Should the court approve the motion? No. Because the pleading stated no cause of action from the beginning. Okay. So, tingnan natin Kasi pag nag-file ka ng collection of sum of money, kailangan ang nasa allegation mo, nag-demand letter ka. Tapos hindi ka binayaran. Kasi kung walang demand letter, walang delay. So, dapat di ka nagfa-file ng action. Kasi wala pang cause of action, wala pang violation of a right. No? Due and demandable pa lang yung debt, hindi pa in delay. Okay. Before the service of the answer, pwedeng mag-amend kasi as a matter of right. Hindi po ulit nag-a-apply yung Section 3 Rule 10. Will not apply. Okay? Pero pag po after the service of the answer, mag-a-apply na siya. Okay? Mag-a-apply na siya. Since mag-a-apply na siya, papasok po dito yan. The leave should be refused when the pleading stated no cause of action from the beginning. In this scenario po, itong number 4, nung unang complaint, yung unang complaint, it stated no cause of action kasi nga walang demand letter na sinend. Walang allegation na nag-send ng demand letter kay Mr. B. Tapos nag-serve ng answer si Mr. B, hindi ka pwede mag-file ng motion for leave to amend the action or to amend the complaint kasi nga because the pleading stated no cause of action from the beginning. Next example tayo. Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money in the amount of 1 million pesos against B with the RTC Makati. Later, Mr. B served his answer to Mr. A, alleging that the action must be dismissed due to lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter. Mr. A then filed a motion for leave of court to amend the pleading wherein Mr. A intends to increase the amount of claim from 1 million to 10 million. Should the motion be granted? No. Kasi nga, intended to confer jurisdiction. So, ibubold natin ulit yung service niya. Yan ang pinaka-important sa mga examples na to. Before the service of the answer, ayan. You get the point, no? So, just read this through na lang. So, ginawa ko lang dito, napakadaming examples para mahasa kayo dyan. Okay? Sige. No amendment is necessary to conform to or authorize the presentation of evidence. So, this cures a defective pleading. Ibig sabihin yan, insufficient ang allegations. No? If an issue or allegation was not alleged in the pleading, but the issue or allegation was tried with the consent of the adverse party, this will be treated as if this was raised in the pleadings. No? Yung allegation na hindi na-allege, basically. This will be treated, buuin natin, the issue or allegation will be treated as if this was raised in the pleadings. No? So, consent means the adverse party failed to object to the presentation of evidence during trial. So, wala yung issue, hindi na-allege yun, tapos, hindi na-objectan, nagpresent ng evidence yung plaintiff, hindi inobjecta ng defendant, treated po yan as raised in the pleadings ni allegations na yon. The evidence cured, the presentation of evidence cured the insufficiency of the allegations in the pleading. Okay? The pleading does not have to be amended to conform to the evidence thus presented. The pleading is already deemed amended. Deemed amended na siya. Okay? Considered amended na, taking into account yung mga evidence na na-present. Okay? However, Section 5, Rule 10 does not cure lack of cause of action. It only cures failure to state cause of action. Okay. But there was a cause of action. Okay, so examples no before we finish yung Rule 10, no? Swagman case to. Yeah. Mr. B's debt to Mr. A was still not due and demandable. However, Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money against Mr. B, no? Hindi pa due and demandable yung utang. The allegations clearly state that Mr. B's debt was still not due and demandable. However, during the pendency of the action, Mr. B's debt became due and demandable. Thus, Mr. A presented evidence in court without the objection of Mr. B to show that the debt was already due and demandable. Question, does the evidence cure the allegations in the complaint? Yes, no? It does. Because, tandaan nyo ha, let's respond to the question. Ano ba kinocure ng evidence allegations? The evidence cures the allegations in the complaint. Ano ba kasi yung defect dun sa allegations in the complaint? Sinabi ng allegation na not due and demandable. Okay, so tandaan nyo, iba yung allegation na not due and demandable, iba din yung mismong debt na not due and demandable. Okay? Ang na-cure po dito, does the evidence cure the allegations in the complaint? Yes. Kasi the evidence showed that, okay, due and demandable na. Okay? Yes, because the due and demandability of the debt was tried with his consent even though it was not raised in the pleading. So, ito yan. No amendment necessary to conform to or authorize the presentation of evidence. Now, does the evidence cure the absence of cause of action? No. Daan nyo ha. Please remember that. Okay? Respond to the question. Ang tinatanong sa una, na-cure ba ng evidence yung allegation saying na not due and demandable? Okay? Yes. No? Kasi without the objection of Mr. B. Since wala pong objection ni Mr. B, it was tried with his consent. And since it was tried with his consent, no, the evidence will cure the insufficiency of the allegations. No? And the issue or allegation that was not alleged will be treated as if it was raised in the pleadings. Okay. What about the absence of cause of action? Ito po yung Swagman case. No, it does not cure the absence of the cause of action. The curing effect under Section 5 is applicable only if a cause of action exists at the time the complaint is filed, but the complaint is defective for failure to allege the essential facts. Okay. So, ang kinocure lang po nitong no amendment necessary to conform to or authorize the presentation of evidence, ang kinocure lang nito, insufficiency in the allegations. Hindi po insufficiency or lack of cause of action. Sabihin natin, in this example po, due and demandable yun debt, pero sa allegations, sinabi niya not due and demandable. And then later on, nung trial, sabi nung nag-present si Mr. A ng evidence showing na due and demandable na yung debt na hindi inobjecta ni Mr. B. It cures the allegations in the complaint And meron pong cause of action. Okay, meron pong cause of action kasi due and demandable naman talaga yung debt. It's just that mali yung nakasulat na allegation sa complaint. That can be cured. Pero kung hindi naman talaga due and demandable yung debt, tapos inilagay sa allegations, hindi rin due and demandable, ito po ang resulta. The evidence will cure the allegations but it will not cure the absence of the cause of action. Okay. Sana po malinaw, no? Mga nakatatlo, apat na balik tayo doon, no? I-bold din natin to. Section 5 is applicable only if a cause of action exists or existed at the time the complaint was filed. Okay? So, in short, Section 5 cures failure to state cause of action, but not lack of cause of action at the time of the filing of the complaint. Okay. Note natin yan dito, no? Okay, so ito na yung Swagman case, no? Just read that through. Just read that, no? Next clip natin, let's go to Rule 30. Okay? Sige. See you there.